The sun begins to set, casting long shadows over the fields as the widower works silently. His hands, calloused from years of labor, grip the handle of his shovel as he digs into the earth. His thoughts lost in the rhythm of his movements. His wife's absence is a constant ache in his chest, a hollow void that no amount of work can fill. The house they built together stands quietly in the distance, its windows dark, offering no comfort, only reminders of the life they once shared. Every corner of the farm holds memories, her laughter in the kitchen, the warmth of her touch as they worked side by side. Now it's just him and the land, enduring the years in silence. The wind stirs the dry grass, carrying with it the scent of earth and the weight of solitude. The widower often wonders if his life will always be like this, quiet, uneventful, and disconnected from the world beyond the horizon. His routine is predictable, a series of chores that mark the passing of each day. He's become accustomed to the isolation. But there are moments, fleeting and rare, when the weight of loneliness presses too heavily on his chest. Those moments are always quickly pushed aside, as he knows there's no one to share them with. Still, the emptiness lingers, always present, just beneath the surface of his quiet life. As he lifts the shovel and tosses another load of dirt aside, something catches his eye: a figure on the horizon. At first, it seems like a mirage, a trick of the light, but as he squints into the distance, the shapes begin to take form. 5 women, walking slowly toward his farm. The sight is strange and unexpected. The widower pauses, his heart skipping, a beat. He hasn't seen another soul in months, and now 5 women are approaching his home. His mind races with questions. Who are they? What do they want? Why are they coming to his farm? A strange mix of curiosity and unease fills him. He wipes the sweat from his brow and steadies himself, watching them approach. The wind picks up again, and the women's figures grow clearer. They're walking together, but there's something about their gait and even cautious, as if they're unsure of their destination. The widower feels a twinge of discomfort at the sight of them. His farm has always been a place of solitude, a refuge from the outside world. But now, the quiet, predictable existence he's worked so hard to maintain is being disrupted. He doesn't know what to expect from these women, but his instincts tell him that this visit will change everything. The women are still some distance away, but the widower can see them more clearly now. They are dressed in worn, faded clothes, their faces tired and weathered from travel. It's obvious they've been on the road for some time. He wonders what brings them to his isolated farm. Maybe they're just passing through, or perhaps they're in need of shelter. But that thought doesn't offer him much comfort. He's a man who values his privacy, who keeps to himself, and the idea of sharing his space with strangers unsettles him. Still, he can't bring himself to turn them away, at least not yet. The uncertainty gnaws at him. The women draw closer, and the widower can see the exhaustion in their eyes. There's no sense of urgency in their steps, no desperation, the quiet weariness of people who have been traveling for far too long. As they reach the edge of his property, one of the women steps forward, her face soft and kind. She calls out to him, her voice carrying over the wind, asking if they may come inside for a rest. The widower hesitates, his eyes flicking from one woman to the next. There's something about them, something he can't quite place, that makes him uneasy, but also compels him to help. His instincts war with his pride, and after a moment, he steps forward, his voice rough with uncertainty, offering them shelter for the night. The women are grateful, but their eyes reveal something more, something that speaks of a deeper need. It's as though they're not just looking for a place to sleep. They're seeking something they can't articulate. The widower, unsure of how to act, gestures for them to follow him toward the barn, where he offers them space for the night. As they move toward the barn, the quiet stillness of the farm feels heavier than before. The widower can't shake the feeling that something has shifted, that the arrival of these women is the beginning of a new chapter in his life. But whether it's a chapter of hope or one of hardship, he doesn't know yet. That night, after the women settle into the barn, the widower returns to his small house. He sits in the darkness, the weight of the day heavy on his shoulders. His mind races with thoughts of the women, where they've come from, what they want, and what kind of trouble they might bring. He's learned to be cautious in this world, to trust only what he can see with his own eyes. And yet, something about the women stirs something inside him, a feeling he hasn't had in years. It's the tiniest spark of hope, but he quickly brushes it away, unwilling to allow himself to feel anything but the safety of his own solitude. The widower stands at the threshold of his door, his hand resting uneasily on the worn wood of the frame. His gaze lingers on the women as they stand before him. Their faces tired, their clothes patched and faded from days of travel. They seem out of place in the quiet, desolate expanse of his farm, where the only sounds are the rustling of the wind and the distant cry of a hawk. The air between them is thick with tension, and the widower can feel the weight of the decision bearing down on him. He doesn't want to be bothered. He's grown accustomed to the isolation. But the desperate look in their eyes tugs at something. Deep within him, a sense of compassion he hasn't felt in years. The women stand quietly, their eyes scanning the widower's face, waiting for him to speak. The silence stretches out, and the widower is at a loss for words. He has never been one for social interaction, and the presence of these strangers makes him uncomfortable. He tries to read their faces, to understand what brought them to his doorstep, but their expressions are guarded. There is no plea in their eyes, just a silent, shared understanding of their need for shelter. His gaze falls to the dusty road behind them, and he wonders if they've been walking for days, if they have nowhere else to go. The thought unsettles him further, but it also stirs something he can't ignore. One of the women steps forward, the leader of the group it seems. She speaks gently, her voice tinged with exhaustion, and explains that they've been traveling for a long time, seeking refuge wherever they can. She says they mean no harm, only that they're desperate. The widower listens intently, his heart heavy with the weight of her words. His instincts urge him to shut the door, to send them away, but his hands tremble as he grips the handle. The idea of offering shelter feels foreign, and the quiet life he's built on this land feels fragile, as if it might crumble at the slightest disruption. Still, the pleading in her eyes, the softness of her voice, keeps him rooted in place. The widower's mind races as he debates whether to help. He spent so many years in solitude, relying only on himself to get by. The idea of sharing his home, even for a night, seems alien to him. His life has been simple, isolated, and in many ways, he prefers it that way. He doesn't know these women, doesn't understand their stories, and he fears what might come of allowing them into his life. Yet, there is something undeniable in the way they stand before him, the silent plea in their posture, the vulnerability in their faces. He can't help but wonder if they've been through hardships of their own, if they're running from something. The thought tugs at his conscience. The widower finally opens the door wider, stepping back to allow them in. His voice is low, almost hesitant, but he tells them they can stay for the night. It's a simple offer, one that doesn't commit him to anything beyond a roof over their heads. But even as the words leave his lips, he knows he's crossed the line. He has invited them into his home, into his world, and once the door is open, it's no longer just his farm. It's theirs, too, in a way. The women step forward with gratitude, their faces softening as they enter the house. They are tired, they are worn, but their eyes light up at the warmth of the home, something the widower hasn't seen in years. He watches them carefully, unsure of what comes next. The women settle into the small space, and the widower moves to the hearth, stoking the fire that's been burning since morning. He keeps his distance, his eyes darting from one woman to the next. The quiet seems louder now, more pressing. He wonders how long they will stay. Will they take advantage of his hospitality, or will they leave once they've rested? There is a strange sense of unease in the air, and the widower can't shake the feeling that their arrival is not just a random occurrence. There's a story behind their weary faces, a secret they're not ready to share. He catches glimpses of their expressions, subtle exchanges, brief glances that tell him they are not just passing through. They are here for a reason, and the widower feels a sense of foreboding settling in his chest. The leader of the women thanks him again, but the words feel inadequate. Her gratitude is genuine, yet there's a distance in her voice, as if she knows they are strangers to him, and this kindness is an exchange. The widower doesn't know what to make of it. He has always been a man of few words, preferring to keep to himself, and the presence of these women feels like a disruption, like the intrusion of something foreign into his carefully constructed life. Yet there is a part of him, buried deep, that welcomes the change. The house has been too quiet for too long. Their voices, though weary and soft, fill the space in a way he never expected. It's unsettling but also strangely comforting. As the night deepens, the fire crackles in the hearth, casting long shadows on the walls. The women sit in silence, their exhaustion palpable, their eyes heavy with sleep. The widower remains standing by the fire, his mind restless. He knows they are not just ordinary travelers, that their presence here is no accident. Something about them feels different, some unspoken lingers in the air. He glances at the door, half expecting someone else to walk in, but the night remains still. The silence settles once more, and the widower wonders how long it will last before everything changes. The women are here now, and his life, once so quiet, is no longer just his own. The widower leads them to the barn, his movements stiff and reluctant, as if each step away from the house takes him further from his comfort zone. The barn, a place he spent countless hours tending to animals and mending tools, now feels foreign, almost too personal for strangers to enter. He gestures toward the hayloft where they can sleep and tells them to make themselves comfortable. His voice lacks warmth, his gaze fixed on the ground, as if the simple act of hospitality has stripped him of something he can't name. The women are grateful, murmuring soft thanks as they make their way to the loft. But there's a quiet unease in the air, an unspoken tension that settles like dust between them. As he watches them climb into the loft, the widower can't help but feel a growing sense of discomfort. The barn is his sanctuary, the one place where he can work in solitude, away from the weight of the world. Yet now, it feels as though a shadow looms over it. He can hear the soft rustling of the women as they settle in, their whispers barely audible, but there's something unsettling about their presence. It's as if their very existence in the space demands a change, a shift in the atmosphere he's long held sacred. He knows he can't ask them to leave, not yet, but he feels the walls of his own life closing in. the widower returns to the house, his hand shaking slightly as he shuts the door behind him. He's not sure why he feels so unsettled. It's just one night. After all, they'll leave in the morning, he tells himself. He'll give them a meal, and they'll be on their way, their footsteps fading into the distance like all the other travelers he's seen over the years. But something in his chest tightens at the thought. These women are different. They've already unsettled the fragile peace he's built for himself. Their presence is a constant hum in the background, a reminder that his quiet existence is no longer his own. Inside, the widower begins his evening routine, lighting the stove, washing his hands, and preparing a small meal. He does everything with the same practiced motions, but his mind is elsewhere. He tries to focus on the tasks at hand, but his thoughts keep drifting back to the barn, to the strange group of women who've taken shelter there. They don't belong in his world. They're too loud, too much, and yet their presence feels oddly necessary. He can't shake the feeling that they need him for something beyond just a roof over their heads. But what? The question lingers in his mind, unanswered and gnawing at him. His meal is simple, but he eats in silence. The only sound in the house, the soft crackling of the fire. He's learned to enjoy the solitude, to relish in the quiet that surrounds him. But tonight, the silence feels oppressive, heavy with the weight of his decision. The women are out there in the barn, just beyond the thin walls of the house. He wonders if they're asleep yet, or if they're talking among themselves in hushed tones. He's not used to sharing space, let alone his home, with anyone. His wife is gone, and he's kept to himself for so long that the idea of having others so near feels like an intrusion. After finishing his meal, the widower makes his way to the door and looks out into the dark night. The barn is bathed in the soft light of the moon, and he can just make out the silhouette of the women through the window. The sight of them, their bodies curled up in the hay, strikes him with an odd sense of protectiveness. He didn't want to care, he didn't want to let them in, but there they are, seeking shelter, and he couldn't bring himself to turn them away. The cold night air feels sharper as he stands there, and he shivers, unsure of what to do with the growing weight in his chest. He eventually retreats from the window, unsure of what to do next. He knows he'll need to see them in the morning, to make sure they're fed and ready to leave, but the thought of facing them again makes his stomach turn. There's a knot in his gut that won't loosen. He had hoped that his decision would, to be simple, that they would take their rest and leave, and everything would return to normal. But deep down he knows that nothing will ever be the same. Their presence has already begun to unravel the fabric of his carefully constructed life, and he can't help but wonder if this is the beginning of something far beyond what he's prepared for. The widower sits by the fire, staring into the flames, but his thoughts are miles away. He wonders about the women, who they are, where they've come from, and what brought them to his door. They're not just travelers. He can sense that much. There's something more to their story, something they're not saying, and he can't help but feel drawn to it, even though he wishes he weren't. The questions swirl in his mind like the smoke from the fire. The truth, whatever it is, remains just out of reach, and the longer they stay, the more he fears it will slip from his grasp entirely. The quiet man who once lived alone with his thoughts is now on the cusp of something he can't yet understand. As the days pass, the widower begins to see the women in a new light. At first he was hesitant, unsure if their presence would disrupt the rhythm of his life. But with each passing day he finds himself relying on them more and more. The farm, with its demanding tasks and endless chores, no longer feels like an isolated burden. The quiet one, with her soft voice and steady hands, stays by his side during the long hours of labor. She works without complaint, her presence almost comforting. She doesn't speak much, but there's a quiet understanding between them. Her silent companionship fills a gap he didn't even realize was there. The brash one, on the other hand, is a constant source of energy. She has a sharp tongue and isn't afraid to speak her mind. The widower finds her challenging, but not in a way that makes him resent her. Rather, she forces him to see things differently. Her boldness often catches him off guard, making him think twice about the way he's always done things. At times, he feels a flicker of irritation at her insistence, but it's quickly replaced by admiration for her confidence and determination. She pushes him to be more than just a man of routine, to question why he does things the way he does. Her presence shakes up his quiet existence, and he can't decide if he resents or appreciates it. The nurturing one is perhaps the most striking of them all. She has a gentle demeanor, always quick to offer care and kindness. It's not just the farm animals she tends to, but also the widower's wounded dog. Her ability to heal, both physically and emotionally, leaves him in awe. She doesn't just mend the dog's paw, she seems to mend something within him as well. The widower finds himself softening around her, his cold exterior slipping just a little. Her nurturing nature makes him long for a time when life wasn't so hard, when the world felt full of warmth and comfort. She doesn't push him to open up, but her compassion is a balm to the wounds he's carried for so long. Then there's the fourth woman, the one who seems to hold a secret. She is distant, her eyes often lost in thought. The widower can't help but notice her frequent glances toward the horizon, as if she's waiting for something or someone. She doesn't talk about her past, and he doesn't press her for answers. There's a sadness in her eyes that he can't ignore. Her silence is a contrast to the others, and it intrigues him. The widower feels a strange connection to her, as if both of them are carrying burdens that can't be spoken. He senses that she's hiding something, but he doesn't know what it is. In a way, her mystery pulls him in, making him wonder about the life she left behind. The last woman is fiercely independent, a woman who stands on her own 2 feet, never asking for help. She works tirelessly, never showing weakness or doubt. There's a fire in her that the widower admires, a strength that reminds him of the days when he had to be self. He notices the way she carries herself, head held high, shoulders squared as if she's always ready for whatever life throws her way. Her independence challenges him in a way the others don't. It makes him question his own reliance on solitude and whether he's been hiding behind it as a shield. But there's a part of him that respects her, even if it stirs something uncomfortable within him. As the days go by, the widower starts to notice how they each contribute to the farm in their own unique way. He's slowly becoming accustomed to the rhythm of their presence, the way their different personalities blend into the quiet of the land. There's still a part of him that holds back, still unsure if he can truly trust them. But his need for help with the farm, and his growing appreciation for their company, makes him more willing to engage. He's still a man of few words, but he begins to share more with them, his past, his thoughts, his frustrations. They don't press him for details, but they listen, and in that listening, they become something more than just strangers in his home. The widower can't deny that their presence has begun to fill a void he didn't know existed. The days are no longer as long, the work not as grueling. They have become part of the rhythm of the farm, and in some ways, part of the widower's life. He still remains guarded, not yet ready to fully open up, but he's starting to feel something that's been missing for years, a sense of connection. He notices the little things, how the quiet one always brings him a cup of tea after a long day, how the brash one challenges him to be better, how the nurturing one always seems to know when he's struggling with something, and how the fiercely independent one helps without asking. These women, despite their differences, are starting to feel like more than just visitors. They are becoming a part of his world, though he remains cautious. The widower finds himself growing fond of their presence. It's not the same as before, when he was alone, but he realizes that he doesn't mind the change as much as he thought he would. There's a quiet comfort in knowing that he's not entirely alone. As the days turn into weeks, he learns more about them, little details about their lives before they arrived at his door. Each one carries their own story, their own pain, but they don't share it all at once. It's like peeling back layers of an onion, each revelation coming slowly. The widower doesn't ask for their stories, but he can't help but listen when they speak. He's becoming more involved in their lives, and in return they are becoming a part of his dot. As the days blend together, the widower starts to notice subtle changes in himself. The weight of solitude no longer feels as heavy, yet the new presence in his life is starting to stir something he hasn't felt in years. A sense of connection, though still fragile and tentative, begins to form between him and the women. They are no longer just strangers passing through, they are becoming part of his world. The widower remains cautious, his heart guarded, but he can't deny that their companionship fills a void he had long forgotten. The daily tasks on the farm, once a solitary chore, now seem more bearable with their help. He still resists the growing bond, but finds it harder to maintain the distance he once cherished. He watches them as they move through the house, each woman leaving her mark in her own way. The quiet one stays near him, offering her presence without words, and the brash one continues to challenge his ideas and methods, pushing him out of his comfort zone. The nurturing one tends to the animals and his injured dog with a quiet grace, and the fiercely independent one rarely asks for help, but always offers her strength when needed. Despite their differences, something about them is beginning to feel like home. The widower realizes that, perhaps for the first time since his wife's death, he is not alone, not truly. The atmosphere in the house, once calm and predictable, begins to shift. The women's personalities, so different and at times conflicting, are starting to collide in ways the widower hadn't anticipated. It's subtle at first, small disagreements over tasks, little moments of tension when their differences can't be ignored. But one evening, during dinner, the simmering frustration finally boils over. Two of the women, one outspoken and the other reserved, get into a heated argument over something trivial, at least to the widower's eyes. The volume of their voices rises, their words sharp and cutting. The widower is caught off guard, not knowing how to intervene or whether he even should. The argument escalates quickly, and the widower finds himself stuck in the middle, trying to calm both women down. His heart races as he watches them clash, feeling the unfamiliar weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He's never been good at dealing with conflict, and this situation makes him feel more isolated than ever. The women are no longer just strangers, they are people with emotions, with histories that are beginning to surface in unpredictable ways. He wonders if he's misjudged their arrival, if he's invited trouble into his life. The simple, solitary existence he once cherished seems like a distant memory now. The argument finally dies down, but the tension remains thick in the air. The widower is left to deal with the aftermath, unsure of how to address what just happened. He realizes, with a sense of unease, that this conflict is only the beginning. Each woman, it seems, carries with her unresolved feelings that have nothing to do with him but everything to do with the lives they've left behind. He wonders if their stay is as innocent as it seemed at first. There's a heaviness in the air now, a sense that something is being hidden from him. He doesn't know what it is, but he feels it, a quiet, nagging suspicion that their presence isn't entirely without consequence. As the days pass, the widower becomes more attuned to the unspoken tension between the women. The quiet one, once so serene, now seems withdrawn, her eyes distant as though she's lost in her own thoughts. The brash one, while still challenging him, now seems more on edge, as though she's guarding a secret. The nurturing one's warmth remains, but there's a sadness in her that he can't ignore. And the fiercely independent one, as always, remains aloof, but even she seems to carry a quiet burden. The widower feels like an outsider in his own home, a bystander to a drama that's unfolding around him. He is unsure if he's ready to confront whatever lies beneath the surface, but he knows he can no longer remain oblivious. The farm, once a peaceful retreat, now feels like a stage for conflict. The widower's sense of unease deepens as he begins to suspect that each woman is hiding something, perhaps even from one another. The small, everyday moments that once felt comforting now seem charged with an undercurrent of tension. He begins to feel like a stranger in his own home, unsure of whom to trust. The work on the farm continues, but even the simple tasks now seem laden with unspoken words and emotions. The women's presence, once a welcome change, now feels like a puzzle he can't solve. And the more he tries to piece it together, the more elusive it becomes. In the quiet moments, when the work of the day is done, the widower can't shake the feeling that something is amiss. He senses that the women are no longer just visitors, they are part of something larger, something hidden. Their stories are starting to bleed into the quiet of the farm, and he feels as though he's being pulled into a web of secrets. His life, once predictable and controlled, is slipping out of his hands, and he can't help but wonder if he's in over his head. The tension between the women, the quiet moments of silence, and the strange feeling that something is off are starting to consume him. He begins to realize that whatever it is that they are hiding might soon come to light, and when it does, everything may change. Late one night, the widower lies in his bed, the silence of the house weighing heavily on him. The wind howls outside, rattling the windows, but it's the soft voices from the other side of the room that catch his attention. He shifts, trying to make out the words, but they speak in hushed tones, too quiet for him to understand fully. Intrigued and anxious, he lies still, straining to hear more. The conversation drifts in and out of clarity, snippets of words reaching his ears like broken fragments. His heart begins to race as he catches fragments of phrases like "they won't stop," "danger," and "we have to keep moving." His mind races, piecing together the cryptic sentences. He listens for what feels like an eternity, his breath held in the stillness of the night. It becomes clear that the women are hiding something far darker than mere travel. Their conversation is filled with an underlying tension, the kind that makes the widower's blood run cold. These aren't just innocent travelers, as they had led him to believe. They are running from something dangerous, and it seems that whatever it is, it's following them. The fear in their voices is palpable, and the widower feels a cold shiver crawl up his spine. He had suspected that there was more to their story, but now the truth seems undeniable. They are not just lost wanderers, they are fugitives. The widower tries to calm his racing thoughts. His mind reels with questions, but none of the answers seem within reach. What kind of danger are they running from? Who are these men who won't stop until they've found them? The more he listens, the more confused and fearful he becomes. The women, who had once seemed like a simple, albeit unsettling, presence in his life, are now revealed as something far more complex. They are tangled in a web of secrets and lies, and the widower feels himself caught in the middle, unwillingly entangled in their past. He begins to question whether he's made a terrible mistake in letting them stay. Despite the fear that now grips his heart, the widower knows he can't ignore what he's heard. These women, despite their seemingly harmless appearance, are involved in something far beyond his understanding. He lies awake for hours, contemplating what he should do. Part of him wants to help them, to offer them protection, but the other part of him is terrified of the unknown danger they bring with them. His farm, his sanctuary, has always been a place of peace and isolation, and now it feels like a target. The quiet life he had painstakingly built is unraveling, and he can't decide if he should throw himself into the fray or distance himself from their problems altogether. The morning arrives, and the widower rises early, his mind still swirling with uncertainty. He knows he can't keep pretending that everything is fine, that the women are simply lost travelers in need of rest. The truth is too clear now, and he's no longer willing to bury his head in the sand. He goes to the barn, where the women have been staying, his heart heavy with the weight of the confrontation ahead. He doesn't know how to ask the questions, doesn't know what kind of answers he's prepared to hear. But one thing is certain, he needs the truth, and he needs it now. As he enters the barn, the women are already awake, but there's an uneasy air between them. They know something is coming. The widower's gaze sweeps over them, his face hardening with resolve. Without wasting time, he confronts them directly, his voice firm but tinged with uncertainty. "What are you running from?" he asks, the words thick with the fear he can no longer hide. The women exchange glances, their faces clouded with hesitation. The tension in the air is palpable, and the widower can feel the weight of their secrets pressing down on him. They can no longer hide behind their stories of simple travelers. It's the quiet one who finally breaks the silence. Her voice trembles as she speaks, and for the first time, the widower sees the vulnerability in her eyes. "We're being hunted," she admits softly, her words carrying the weight of something far too heavy for her frame. "There are men from our past, dangerous men who won't stop until they've found us. We've been running for months, trying to stay one step ahead of them." The confession hangs in the air, and the widower feels his stomach tighten. The truth is out, and it's far more sinister than he could have ever imagined. The women are fugitives, and the danger they've been running from is now at his doorstep. That the revelation strikes the widower like a blow to the chest. His mind spins as the gravity of their situation sinks in. These women, who had become a part of his life, are now entangled in something dark and violent. He had opened his door to them, offered them shelter, never imagining that it would lead to this. He doesn't know how to respond. Part of him wants to throw them out, to protect his farm from whatever danger is coming, but another part of him feels a deep sympathy for them. They are not criminals, he realizes. They are victims running from a past they can't escape, and now the widower finds himself at a crossroads, torn between fear and compassion. The danger is real, but so is his desire to help. The women sit in silence, awaiting his response, their faces filled with fear and guilt. The widower's heart is heavy with the weight of their admission, but he knows he can't simply turn them away. He has already allowed them into his home, into his life. He can't just abandon them now, not when they are so vulnerable. The decision weighs on him, and as he stares at their faces, he knows that whatever happens next, his life will never be the same. The truth has been laid bare, and there's no turning back. The danger is real, and it's coming for them all. The widower stands in the barn, the weight of the women's confession heavy on his shoulders. Their words echo in his mind, a constant reminder of the danger that now looms over his peaceful life. His heart races as he considers the consequences of his decision. He has always prided himself on his independence, on the quiet solitude of his farm, but now it feels like everything he's worked for is at risk. The life he has built, here, surrounded by the land he's tended to for years, is threatened by the presence of these women and the men they are running from. The thought of sending them away gnaws at him, but the idea of abandoning them seems equally unbearable. He walks back to the house, his mind a storm of conflicting emotions. The thought of turning them out into the unknown, knowing that they would be vulnerable to whoever is pursuing them, fills him with guilt. He's never been one to turn away those in need, and the women have already become a part of his life, in a way, but the fear that has begun to settle in his chest is real, and the stakes are higher than ever. He's not just protecting his farm anymore, he's protecting his peace, his way of life. Every decision he makes from this point forward will have consequences, not just for him, but for them as well. He spends the night pacing the floors, the silence of the house pressing down on him. His thoughts are a tangle of fear and compassion, and he struggles to find clarity. Part of him wants to push them away, to protect himself and his farm from the threat he can't control. But another part of him, a deeper part, one he hasn't acknowledged in years, feels a responsibility toward them. He can't simply ignore their plight. They are running from something much larger than themselves, and the idea of turning his back on them seems wrong. The compassion he's been hiding for so long begins to surface, and with it, a painful realization. He cares about these women more than he's willing to admit. By morning, the decision has been made. He can no longer live with the uncertainty of what's to come. The widower returns to the barn, his mind clear and determined. He finds the women sitting in silence, their eyes filled with both hope and fear. They've been waiting for his response, but they can see the hesitation in his posture, the way he stands, as if burdened by the weight of their futures. The moment stretches on, heavy with unspoken words. Finally, the widower speaks, his voice, low but firm, offering them a choice. He will give them shelter, a safe haven within the walls of his farm, but he makes it clear that this is their fight, not his. "I can protect you," he says, his voice carrying the weight of his decision. "But I can't be part of whatever you're running from. I can't be caught up in it. You're safe here for as long as you need, but the rest is up to you." His words hang in the air, heavy with both compassion and caution. He feels a strange mix of relief and fear. The decision has been made, but it's not without consequences. He's chosen to open his doors to them, but he's also chosen to draw a line in the sand, to protect himself and his farm from the danger that might follow. The women look at each other, their faces a mixture of gratitude and hesitation. They understand the gravity of what the widower has said. He is offering them sanctuary, but he is also setting boundaries. The widower can feel the tension in the room, the weight of their decision pressing down on him. They know they can't ask for more from him. The safety he's offering is temporary, and the reality of the situation is clear. They must face their past and whatever danger is chasing them, but for now, they have a place to hide. The widower's decision is final, and they must decide how to move forward from here. The tension in the barn shifts, and the women nod, their expressions softening with gratitude. They've been running for so long, never knowing where they would end up, never feeling safe. The widower's offer, though reluctant, gives them a glimmer of hope they hadn't dared to expect. For the first time in what feels like forever, they are allowed to rest, to find some semblance of peace. But even as the relief settles in, the women know that the danger isn't over. They are still fugitives, still hunted by the men from their past. And the widower's farm, while safe for now, can only protect them for so long. The decision has been made, but the road ahead remains uncertain. The widower watches them carefully, his heart heavy with the realization that he has just crossed a line. He has chosen to help them, but in doing so, he has also invited the danger into his life. He can't help but wonder how long it will be before their past catches up with them. How long before the men they are running from come to his door. There's a part of him that fears the worst, that fears what this decision might cost him. But for now, he has chosen to act from a place of compassion, offering what little he can to help these women. The future is uncertain, but the choice is made. He will protect them as best he can, and hope that the danger never finds its way into his home. As the days go on, the widower keeps a watchful eye on the women, still unsure of what will come next. His farm, once a place of solitude and peace, has become a sanctuary of sorts, one that may soon be tested by the very danger they're trying to outrun. But for now, the widower is resolute. He has made his choice, and with it, he has taken on a responsibility he never expected. He will stand by them, at least until the storm passes, even if it means risking everything he has left. The decision to offer them shelter was never an easy one, but it is a decision he now knows he cannot undo. Several days after the widower's decision to protect the women, the storm that he feared begins to gather on the horizon. He is working in the fields when the unmistakable sound of hooves echoes in the distance. His heart skips a beat as he turns to look at the long, dusty road leading to his farm. The air grows thick with tension, and the wind seems to hold its breath. The men are here, the ones the women have been running from. The widower's gut tightens, his mind racing. They are no longer just a distant threat, but a reality he can't ignore. The women, sensing the same danger, stop what they're doing, eyes wide with panic. They've known this moment was coming, but that doesn't make it any easier to face. The men arrive, 4 of them, riding hard with the harsh, determined energy of men who have been on a hunt for far too long. They are rough-looking, hardened by years of chasing and violence, their faces grim and unforgiving. Their horses kick up dust as they pull up to the farm, and their eyes scan the land like predators searching for prey. The widower stands tall, his back straight as he watches them dismount. His heart pounds in his chest, but he doesn't show fear. He's never been one to back down from a fight, and this is a fight for something greater than his land. It's a fight for justice, for protecting those who have come to rely on him, even if it means risking his life. The leader of the group steps forward, a man with a cold, calculating gaze. "We're looking for 5 women," he says, his voice harsh, devoid of any warmth. "They came through here, didn't they?" The widower doesn't flinch, doesn't show any sign of weakness. He knows the stakes now, and he won't let them intimidate him. "I don't know what you're talking about," he replies calmly, his voice steady despite the storm brewing in his chest. The men exchange looks, sizing him up. They know he's lying, but they can't afford to back down either. The standoff feels like it lasts forever, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. The widower's resolve hardens with each passing second. The women emerge from the barn, their faces pale with fear but resolute in their decision. They know that they can no longer hide from the truth. The leader of the group turns his cold eyes toward them, his lips curling into a cruel smile. "There you are," he sneers. "Thought you could outrun us, didn't you?" The women's eyes flicker with a mix of dread and defiance. They are no longer willing to run. They've been running for too long. They know they must face their pasts, no matter the consequences. One by one, they step forward, each revealing a part of their story. The widower watches in silence, his heart heavy with empathy. The women are not just fugitives, they are survivors, each carrying a burden too heavy to bear alone. And now, with their pasts exposed, they are ready to confront it. The widower stands firm, his gaze unwavering as the men's threats grow more intense. He won't back down, not now, not when these women have trusted him with their lives. His mind races, calculating the best course of action. He knows he's outnumbered, but his sense of justice pushes him forward. The women have already paid too high a price for their freedom, and he won't let these men take it from them. The risk is immense, but the widower is willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to protect them. He knows that this confrontation is not just about saving their lives, it's about standing up for what's right, even if it means facing death itself. The moment of truth has arrived, and the widower is ready to fight for those he has come to care for, no matter the cost. The standoff quickly escalates, the air thick with tension and the distant sound of hooves still echoing in the silence. The men, determined and relentless, advance toward the barn, their eyes cold with the promise of violence. The women, though fearful, have no intention of going back. They have spent too long running from their pasts, and this farm, this place of temporary safety is the last stand they have. Without warning, one of the women, the brash one, lunges forward, her anger breaking through her fear. She throws a heavy rock, striking one of the men in the shoulder, and a fight that had been simmering beneath the surface suddenly ignites into chaos. The men retaliate, but the women are not as helpless as they seem. The widower, still standing between the attackers and the barn, feels the familiar surge of adrenaline he hasn't experienced in years. His farm, his sanctuary, is under threat, and he will not allow it to fall without a fight. He grabs a nearby pitchfork, the old wooden handle worn but sturdy in his grip. As the first man approaches, he swings the pitchfork with surprising strength, knocking the attacker off his feet. The man stumbles back, surprised by the widower's resolve. Though his movements are slower than they once were, the widower's instincts are sharp. He knows the land better than anyone, and that knowledge is his weapon now. He won't let them take the women back, not while he still draws breath. The women, seeing the widower's courage, rally behind him. The quiet one, whose presence has always been steady, picks up a small axe and hurls it at another of the men, catching him in the leg. The brash one joins in, using a shovel to defend herself. The nurturing one, though terrified, grabs a nearby rope, using it to trip one of the attackers as he charges toward the barn. Each woman, despite their fear, steps up to protect what they have, what they've fought for, and what they're unwilling to lose. Together, they become a force that the men did not expect, stronger, more determined, and more willing to fight for their survival than anyone could have imagined. The widower's mind races as he scans the land for his next move. He knows the terrain better than the men ever could, and that is his advantage. He leads the attackers toward the section of the farm where the ground is uneven, where the old fence posts have become brittle with age. As one of the men charges toward him, he ducks and throws a rope, ensnaring the attacker's legs and sending him crashing to the ground. The other men hesitate, unsure of what to expect next. They thought they had the upper hand, but the widower, it is far more resourceful than they gave him credit for. He uses the land to his advantage, setting small traps that make the men hesitant, forcing them into unfamiliar territory. The fight intensifies as the widower, though older and slower, continues to outmaneuver the attackers. His once familiar fields become a battleground, the scent of earth and sweat thicken the air. The women too are relentless. They've fought for their lives before, and now they're fighting for a future. The brash one charges forward, knocking one of the men out of the way with surprising strength. The quiet one works with precision, her every move calculated. The nurturing one is quick on her feet, always one step ahead of the men. Together they work like a well-oiled machine, each knowing what the other will do next. Despite the odds stacked against them, they fight as though their lives depend on it, because they do. The men, realizing they are not as prepared for this fight as they had believed, begin to retreat, but it's not an easy retreat. The widower and the women are closing in on them, trapping them in a corner of the farm that offers no escape. The attackers, now battered and bruised, hesitate, glancing at each other for guidance. The widower's heart pounds as he faces the leader of the group, who glares at him with hatred. The confrontation is inevitable, but it's the women who have the final say. They too are ready to end this fight, once and for all. The brash one steps forward, her voice steady and resolute. We're not going back. Not now, not ever. In the heat of the moment, every decision could be their last. The widower knows that even the smallest mistake could cost them everything. He is keenly aware of the danger that still lingers, even as the attackers begin to falter. The women stand by his side, their fear replaced by a fierce determination. Together, they have turned the tide. The men, now desperate and losing their grip on the situation, realize they are no match for the combined strength of the women and the widower. The final confrontation is swift, brutal, and decisive. The attackers, knowing they've been bested, turn to flee, but it's too late. The battle for survival is won, and the farm remains theirs. As the dust settles, the widower stands among the women, his heart still racing from the adrenaline. They are bruised, battered, and exhausted, but they are alive. The farm, though scarred from the fight, stands strong. The widower looks at the women who have fought so fiercely beside him, and he realizes that he has been changed. He's no longer just a man living in solitude. He is part of something much larger, now part of a family forged in the fire of survival. The danger has passed, but the bonds formed in that fight will last long after the dust has settled. The widower's life, once quiet and solitary, has been irrevocably altered by the strength and courage of the women he chose to protect. The aftermath of the battle leaves the farm in ruins, a stark reminder of the violence that had torn through the peaceful life the widower once knew. The air is thick with dust, and the faint smell of smoke lingers in the wind. The widower stands amidst the wreckage, his body bruised and exhausted, but his mind sharper than ever. He surveys the damage-broken fences, trampled fields, and the remnants of the fight that nearly cost them everything. One of the women is injured, her face pale and her breathing shallow. Despite the victory, the toll is clear. The battle may be over, but the scars, both physical and emotional, remain. As he kneels beside her, tending to the injury with the limited supplies at hand, the widower feels a sense of unease settle in his chest. The fight was won, but at what cost? His thoughts drift to the events that led them to this moment, their arrival on his farm, the secrets they had hidden, and the danger that had followed them. In a way, he feels as though he's lost something in this battle, not just the tranquility of his life, but also a part of himself. The farm, once a sanctuary, now feels like a battleground. But amid the chaos, there's a flicker of something deeper, something he hadn't expected, a feeling of connection, of belonging, that he hadn't known he was searching for. The women, though weary and battered, stand tall, each of them nursing their wounds in silence. The brash one, ever defiant, insists that the injury isn't serious, while the nurturing one moves to tend to the others, her hands gentle and steady. The quiet one, whose calm presence has always been a pillar, offers no words, but her gaze speaks volumes. And the fiercely independent one, though exhausted, takes a deep breath and surveys the land, assessing the damage. They have been through so much together, and though their pasts remain a mystery to him, the widower realizes that they have become more than just visitors. They are part of his life now, woven into the fabric of his existence in a way he hadn't expected. As the sun begins to set, casting a warm glow over the land, the widower reflects on the choices he has made. The decisions that led to this moment, offering them shelter, standing by them when danger arrived, have shaped the person he has become. He had always valued his solitude, believing that being alone was safer, simpler. But now, in the quiet of the evening, he realizes that the connections he has forged with these women are not a burden but a gift. They have given him something he thought he had lost forever, a sense of purpose, a reason to fight, and a reminder that he is not alone. In this world, the women, too, are changed. The past that once haunted them, the men who pursued them with relentless force, are now behind them. The weight of their fears has lifted, replaced with a sense of freedom they hadn't known in years. They are no longer fugitives, no longer living in the shadows of their pasts. The farm, with its fields and animals, has become their sanctuary, a place where they can rebuild their lives, free from the dangers they once faced. As they stand together, their bond has grown stronger, forged in the heat of the battle they fought and won. They know that the future is uncertain, but they also know that they have each other. The widower watches them, his heart swelling with a mixture of pride and gratitude. He doesn't know what the future holds, but he knows one thing for certain. He wants them to stay, not out of obligation, but because he has come to care for them in ways he never expected. They have become a part of his life, a part of his family. The thought of sending them away, of returning to his solitary existence, no longer feels like an option. In a quiet moment, he tells them that they are welcome to stay, to make this farm their home. The women, though surprised by the offer, nod in agreement. They too have come to see this place not just as a refuge, but as a future. The days that follow are filled with hard work and healing. The women, though still recovering from their wounds, dive into the tasks at hand: fences, tending to the animals, and restoring the farm to its former state. The widower, once a solitary figure in the field, now works alongside them, his hands calloused but his heart lighter. Together, they make the farm thrive once again. There are still moments of uncertainty, moments when the past feels too close, but they face those moments together, as a family. The widower watches them with a sense of fulfillment, realizing that the family he never thought he needed is now the one he can't imagine living without. On the final moments of the chapter, the widower stands on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon. The farm is alive with the sounds of work, of laughter, and of the quiet hum of life. He feels a deep sense of peace settle in his chest, a peace he hasn't felt in years. The women are no longer just guests, they are his family, and he is no longer alone. The farm, once a place of solitude, has transformed into a home. The widower realizes that this new beginning, though born from struggle and pain, is the start of something beautiful. He is no longer just surviving, he is living, and he is surrounded by people who care for him just as he cares for them. In that moment he knows that this is where he belongs.